On this episode of The Loud Quiet, 10 tips for parents. Birds come home for the summer.
Hey everybody, welcome back to The Loud Quiet. Today we've got a list episode for you. It's a summer season, and in summer a lot of us empty nesters have kids coming home from college into our what was once empty nest. And that can create a lot of change. And today we've got a list of 10 tips that help you navigate that summer season. Now, these 10 tips, those of you that are already on the Facebook group, you may have already seen this. Those of you that have signed up for the newsletter have gotten a copy of this. If you haven't, you can get a copy of these 10 tips by signing up for the Loud Quiet's weekly newsletter. The URL is going to be in the show notes. It also, if you're really good at writing things down quickly, it is theloudquiet.kit.com/sign up. But for people like me, you're just going to scroll down to the notes, click that. You will get a chance to download that 10 tips there. But we're going to go through it today and not just read through these, but really share our experiences with these because we've lived all 10 of these tips.
And I think you talked about it a lot from our perspective. You know, we have to remember that this is also probably not easy for the kids either coming back.
What a great point.
You know,
this is for parents, but it is, yeah.
Because, you know, you and I can think about when we were home for the summer. And yes, you've had all this independence, and then you're back under your parents' roof. Maybe some of the rules have changed, but maybe they haven't, depending on your parents.
Your lifestyle is different than what it was when you were in high school, and suddenly that collision back into what is the same house, but it's a completely different experience.
Yeah. All right, so we'll just start firing them off and telling you about, you know, how we dealt with some of the things and are dealing with some of the things. We do still have one child who's at home during the summer, so
it does get easier.
Yeah, well, she's our easy child with the stuff too. So, hey, Tanner would agree with that. Number 1, talk about expectations early.
Ooh.
So this one, if you did already receive the tips since you've signed up for our newsletter, has to do with, I think, lifestyle and hours that the children might keep when they come back.
I feel like you're being somewhat discreet about this. There's some specifics of this that it is the hours.
Yeah.
It's lifestyle. It's a lot of that. Hours are probably some of the biggest.
And when you have one child who is very, very, very social, both of our children are social, but you have one who was the frat child coming back for the summer. His expectations of what his summer was going to be did not necessarily align with what our expectations for him. And we made the mistake that we did not talk about this.
We didn't talk about this at all.
So I think this tip, talk about it before they even get home or shortly after they get home.
And this is one that we weren't prepared for it because it was the first time. If you hear none of the other 10, and they're all valuable, I think this one is likely the most important because it sets the framework for what the house will be. It's not saying, here's our rules, here's our dictates. It's just simply, hey, we have a front door that is pretty close to our master bedroom. So if you're going to come in at 3 or 4 in the morning, and perhaps after having been served some beverages at a bar, after having Ubered home, thank goodness, don't be so loud.
Well, it wasn't loud because there really were many nights that Tanner got home late that I didn't even hear him come in. This one, I could hear someone trying to fumble with the lock, trying to get in the door. And I was laying there going, I've been there. I've done this. So I let him come in. And the next morning I said, we can't do that. Okay, I get it.
Well,
you know, it's just, it's college life. It's fun. Let's go out, party with our friends. But you are back in our home. I don't mind if you have beverages, fine. But don't get to the point where you can't get the code to the door to work. That
We're
kind of
not your
coming in.
roommates that are going to
Yes.
come
And
laugh at you and bring you inside, kind
yes.
of thing.
And I
We're,
think we actually use that phrase. We're not your roommates.
yeah.
We're still your parents.
And this gets it to, because the reason why the expectations change is because you're co-living with this person that a month prior, or in some cases a week prior, or even a couple days prior, that same activity, that same behavior could be taking place, but you
And we
don't
don't.
know about
Right.
it because they're a college kid, because they
Yes.
have their space, because
Yes.
they are not in your house. Oh,
I was going to say, this is also an expectation that we have of our children just because of how our family is. Tegan is on it, just got to California. She was on a flight to California, so she has texted us to let us know that she has landed safely. We do that in our family. We let everyone know when we're taking off somewhere, and we let everyone know that we have landed safely. So let me just heart her text, and so there's an expectation that's not necessarily for a lot of people. That is one though that we have, and when they're independent now and they're flying all over these places that they're not with us, I like to know, and we like to know that she has gotten to where she's supposed to be.
well, let's take that into number two, respect their need for independence. This is about the fact that they have spent months before walking back into your home for the summer developing their own lives, developing their own rhythms, developing their own schedules, their own views on life, even kind of the macro things. In the micro things, though, it is what is their schedule? What is their need for privacy? Is the door open? Is the door closed? When are they getting up? When are they going to bed? Those sorts of things.
They also have jobs. So this is where that falls into I don't always know what days Tegan, and I'll use Tegan again because she's the one that's under our roof right now, is working.
That's right.
So if I scheduled something for us and then I don't check with her, that's not respecting her need for independence to have her job this summer. So I have to get into the mindset of before I schedule something that involves all of us, or me and her, or you and her, then we need to check that she's not working and she is available.
As many of you who listen to us regularly know that my Nana passed away this summer, and so that means there's services that go along with that. And we could have just bulldozed through the kids. The kids have things planned. They have their own trips planned. Talk about independence. We got kids that are traveling independently. They have friends that are coming. They have their own schedules that is independent of our family unit. Well, I could have bulldozed straight through those, but by respecting that need for their schedule independence and protecting those dates, we were able to find a date that works for all. It's just the idea of understanding your kids have an independent entity, a schedule, a reality that's separate from the family, and respecting that.
Yeah. And I think they both appreciate that we, do try to really let them have their independence and respect it. All right, number 3, give them space, literally and emotionally. This to me is they need their privacy. We have always been pretty respectful of their privacy.
They haven't given us a need to violate that trust, and so this one wasn't as much of a challenge for us to say the talking about expectations earlier. We'd always given them their literal space. I think what's really growing in this one is the emotional aspect of it. Just recognizing that I'm not necessarily going to ask them a question about every single thing that happened in their day. Tegan, I may overhear some voices where she's talking to a friend on a phone or something like that. Well, if she were talking to a friend on a phone in her college dorm, I wouldn't know about it, so I wouldn't have asked about it. So I find myself, whereas in high school I might have just said, oh, hey, who was that you were talking to? Almost consciously choosing not to ask, just to give them that space. Not that even asking would be necessarily intrusive, but just recognizing that I wouldn't have asked if she were back in Tucson, so I'm not going to ask now.
And most of the times, our kids are very sharing with us, anyways. But I think another thing is in high school, we knew all their friends.
Yeah.
Because they were over here. We interacted with them. Now, since Tanner is now back here, we have met most of his friends. Tegan's out visiting people in California that we've never met, but I trust her. I trust her instincts and the things that she has told us about these kids. I felt comfortable with her going.
Interestingly enough, the more space we give, I think the more they kind of come towards us. I suspect that if we were always jamming them up and asking them questions on all that sort of stuff, they'd freeze up.
And I would say that's true at any age.
Yeah.
If you interrogate your kids starting at a young age, they're going to close off from
Sure.
you.
Sure. Number 4, negotiate responsibilities.
I suck at this one. I'll just put it out there. And I talked about this when in one of our way early episodes. My identity has been mom. Mm-hmm. That was my identity. Yes, I had jobs, but my identity was mom. And so when they are back home, I fall back into mom mode. I'm doing their laundry. I'm, cooking for them. They pick up back and do the chores that they did growing up, but I do. I fall back into the mode of doing things for them, and I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah,
So.
There's parts of it that I have a problem with it, but the one that gets me. I just saw you kind of smirk. I think the one that gets me.
He just ran out of the room.
It's not our cat, and I refer to this as the cat my daughter's cat who lives in the house rent free. Well, that cat produces things that have to be exited from the house. I do not know why our daughter is not doing those tasks.
Well, but you don't do them either.
I said that from the beginning, though. I negotiated my responsibilities around the cat. I'll do the food and the water, but
yeah, and okay, again though, I haven't asked her. I haven't set up that expectation. But even last night, you and I were sitting on the couch watching a show, and I didn't even hear her. She's over there making some big dramatic, because he had barfed. I didn't even hear it. I didn't know. And she's like, could you not hear me over here going, ugh, ugh? I was like, no. And so I'm so sorry, child, that you had to clean up your... Because she said, y'all couldn't hear. And I said, well, I heard a bag, but I thought you were just getting something for your trip. So.
Oh, goodness. Number 5, encourage a sense of purpose is one that we have focused on with them. And some of it was because it wasn't necessarily, quote, the fault of child 1 when his first summer came back and it was COVID. It was difficult for him to find a job, for him to get hired on anywhere. And he did try, and he was doing reffing and those sorts of things. The opportunities just weren't there to the same degree. So we, as parents in summer 1, may not have encouraged as much of a sense of purpose because there wasn't a lot of purpose to go around. We were all dealing with that. But then it became clear in future summers, you got to do something. You can't just hang around this house.
Yeah. And we even said, we don't care if it's a paying job, if it's volunteering somewhere. We don't care what it is, but you got to do something. And he did. He did find a job, and that worked for, the summers that he was here.
And this is a good time. We're now halfway through the list here. And I think that's one of the things that is just an important point in general is that these tips are important tips, but all of us as parents apply discernment as to how important they are for each child, because each of our children, there's been different elements of this that either have been blown off because we don't need it, or it's something we've really had to double or triple down on. And I am curious, as we've gone through these 5 and any of the next 5, if you've got any of your other tips, would you share those out on the Facebook group? The Facebook group is the Loud, Quiet, Empty Nest Living. Link will be in the show notes as well. Just because these are our 10 doesn't mean that they're the best 10. They're just our 10. And so you may have other ideas to share with the wider community, and I think we'd all benefit from that.
Yeah, and also if there's things under these categories that you like to share, like I was just thinking of negotiate responsibilities, and it made me go back to when you had the little chore chart on the fridge and you put their little stickers on.
That's what I want here.
They might want to bring some of that back, actually.
Here's the real request of the audience. I want you to test this with your kids. Put a chore chart up and video their reaction to it and share that on the group.
TikTok trend. That could be a TikTok trend. Okay, maybe.
If I created a TikTok trend, I'm retired. That's
while
it.
Tegan's
I'm not
gone
doing it.
this week, I'll go buy a chore chart and put it on the fridge and see. That'd be hilarious.
Let's go on to
Number 6, balance family time and freedom. So this is one that I'll let you talk about part of it, but our family, extended family, some is here, some is in Austin. And there are things that, hey, we want y'all to come to this. Hey, we want y'all to come to this. And we do get some eye rolls at times. I think we are discerning enough to categorize things as to, yes, it's important for you to be at this one, and no, you can skip that one.
Right. It also gets into even just kind of the day-to-day sort of elements. So family time for us, if you're in the house, and that includes even if Tanner's just stopping by or whatever, but Tegan, who is home for summer this summer, if you're here and it's mealtime, specifically dinner, we're stopping down for family mealtime. We're going to be together in that. That is an expectation of that family time. That's that side of the balance. But after that, there isn't the expectation that if you and I, Clancy, are, say, watching a movie that night that we think would be interesting to Tegan, we might invite her to that. We might see if she's interested in it. But there's no requirement. There's no expectation because that's her freedom. That's her chance to dictate, hey, this is something I'm doing with my own time.
And again, that mealtime has always been a staple in our family. Yes, of course, there were times that it had to be adjusted, but that is not one that we ever get any pushback on or anything.
No. Well, that's probably the easiest one not to get pushback on because, well, you're feeding them. So, and you feed them pretty darn well. That one is one that I do want to mention this back in negotiate responsibilities. A lot of that, it's a whole mentality shift of you're not dictating anything. You're inviting to, you're encouraging, hey, would you help out with? Hey, would you do this family thing?
Number 7, treat them like emerging adults. My mom doesn't call me now and say, did you make your doctor's appointment? So
this one is, it's number 7, actually, just know that eventually they'll become adults.
Maybe
no.
so.
But treat them like the emerging, it's an important point there, emerging adults that they are.
Right. They are both still under 25. There are still things that, yes, you have to still parent on. But then, I was sharing, you were gone this last week. And I mean, Tegan and I sat at dinner one night for over an hour. I mean, just running the gamut of discussion topics. Our church right now is doing a series that has some sensitive topics that are being discussed.
Very much adult oriented.
Yes. And Tegan happened to come with us to one of the sermons, and so we were just talking about it. And I mean, and we've been to a wedding, we're going to another wedding, so we were talking about weddings, I mean, relationships. We just went all over the place. And it's so nice when your kids get to that age that you can just have discussions with them. It's just nice to be able to have discussions, not arguments, discussions, and really thoughtful ideas and opinions that revolve around some of the topics that we're discussing. So I really do appreciate that. And I told her, I'm still your parent, but now I've moved more into that just mentor friend. We're not peers or anything, but we can talk about anything, which we've always had that open line of discussion with our kids. But now it's just, I don't feel like I have to impress my thoughts or opinions on them. They can have their own. They're adults.
When you talked about kind of the peer, and you're right, we'll never be peers because we aren't. I think about how I viewed my parents while they were still with us on this earth. I think, what would I want? I really did kind of enjoy when I would have some of the trips that I took with my mom as an adult, that was enjoyable. The conversations that I could have with my dad about being a young career professional, about being a young married, those sorts of things. And so if that's what I wanted, then that's what I want to be for Tanner. That's what I want to be for Tegan. And treating them like emerging adults is such an important part. I'll mention that a lot of times I can tell that my conversations with Tanner are their most frustrated. He's his most annoyed with me when I feel myself moving out of this. When it's, hey, you need to do this, you need to do this. And they're all kind of adulting sort of things, but I felt it at the townhome this last time that he's annoyed with some of the tasks that need to be done that I'm impressing upon him that need to get done.
And I think they get annoyed with us, but then, he's like, Mom, come upstairs and make sure my outfit that I'm wearing to work the first day is all good,
Emerging
So, yeah.
adults. That's an important adjective there.
And I love that. I love that he still wants
Yeah.
our advice and
Yeah.
our opinion and those kind of things. So, yeah.
Number 8, expect a transition period. And this is one, I got to tell you, when I think about Tegan, when I think about Tanner, I don't really remember this being that big of a deal for us.
Well, then you're not remembering. Not so much with Tegan,
Okay.
because one of the things they talked about here is the mess that comes home.
Oh.
And it was probably midsummer before the IKEA bags got unpacked to just pack them all back up when Tanner was here.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yes.
So again, this goes back to your child. We, all of these kind of, some of them all morph into the transition period because you do have, okay, they are coming back from independent living back into a household of being the child again. But the mess one for me is what I could not, because the stuff stayed in the dining room for probably a week. Then I was like, okay, get it up. So then he just moved it up. I think it sat in the kind of our game room area, open loft area, for probably another week. Then it made it into his room, and then he just kind of lived out of the bags, I think, rather than
I had
putting
totally
it.
forgotten about
yeah.
that. I'm glad you reminded me of this because I had forgotten about those moments where you would come up the stairs and the top of our stairs stares directly into his bedroom, and seeing his shoes as the first barrier between the door and the rest of the wall of crap that was in there. Oh my gosh, I forgot how frustrated that made me.
All right, number 9, check in on their mental health. This one we have always, especially with our generation's children, mental health has been at the forefront since they were very young.
Right.
So this is not a taboo thing for us. This is not a taboo thing for them. I'd say are quite good about gauging where they're at and checking in on them. I feel like as parents with our kids, we are in tune with them.
This one's a challenging one though to balance with. Which one was it? Give them space literally and emotionally. Number 3 and number 9 are almost in opposition to each other. Really what it is they're more symbiotic with each other, that by giving them the space you perhaps have the chance to observe and see something is not quite right and just do that. How you doing? How is that? And finding a way to make it sincere but not intrusive is not easy.
And I know, Tanner started his new summer associate job last week. First few days, awesome, called us every day or chatted with one of us at least every day, texted every day. Well, one day we had an early morning text and then nothing. And then I had sent him something finally at 8:30, 9 o'clock. Hey, just hope you had a good day. No response. So even the next morning I said to you, I said, I hope he's okay. I haven't heard from him. It's very odd. And then it clicked. I was like, Tanner has a girlfriend now. So we've been bumped
We are
down the
not
rungs.
we are not text priority number one.
Even Monday, after his first day, I was so excited to hear about it. And finally at 8:30, I texted him and said, dude, was it good? And they had been at happy hour and dinner with the clerks and some of the attorneys. And he texted me real quick. He's like, oh, yeah, it's great. But, I'm filling Addison in right now first. And I was like, oh, okay.
And we're
I've been
number two.
bumped.
Yeah.
That's okay. I like her. So I'll be bumped for her.
It is it and that shows like paying attention to it and then realizing, okay, that's an example of that given space, literally and emotionally. There's times though, no, really dialing in and making sure because you've given them such independence and you may not have been as aware at college. Now that they're back home, it is that opportunity to check in. You get those few months to where you can be a part of if there's something serious, and even if it's not grand serious, just kind of important or even mild, here's your chance to help them know that one, somebody cares, and two, equip them with the resources that they can use both in the summer, but then ongoing as they go back to school to handle mental health.
And I think, again, it's one that if you have more than one child, you have to gauge how each one of them reacts to stressful situations. Right. And I think we used to be a little more tiptoey around certain things, but now we're pretty much up front. Are you doing okay? Do you need to go talk to someone? We have learned the questions that we need to ask.
And the triggers.
And yeah.
Becoming more attuned to those triggers.
Yeah.
Number 10, enjoy their presence. One, you just have them here. If you've been going through a similar empty nest journey than what you and I went through, you've gone through that initial grief of, oh my gosh, they're gone. What are we going to do? Then you kind of rediscover yourselves and you enjoy that. And then you also go beyond sort of the joy and just to establishing that normal rhythm of what being an empty nest couple means in the house. When the kid comes back, you can actually be kind of annoyed that they're disrupting your rhythm. There are times that it can be kind of annoying. And that's why I really love closing out on this, is that reminder of enjoy their presence. Because unless they're not going back to school, the idea is they're only here in your home for a bit. So get that enjoyment. Set up those times to do something, go play mini golf or sit and watch a movie or do something together and just enjoy their physical presence here. Not only the time component, but their life will continue to evolve as they move into their emerging adulthood. And as parents, the natural order of things is you get replaced after a while. And so here's your chance to really enjoy that presence one-on-one in some of the latter moments of being able to do so.
Oh, I don't know why that just made me emotional.
All right, success.
No,
Number 10 for the tears.
No, it's not that. I totally enjoy, like, in the first episode why we started this, when Tegan left, I said, well, she was my buddy. Mm-hmm. And I love having her back home and doing stuff with her. That wasn't what got me emotional, though, when you said you're going to be replaced. Again, well, I really like the girl that he's dating, but I'm not ready to be replaced yet.
Well, and to be fair, replaced is certainly the wrong word.
I know what you meant, but it just...
Our role will change.
That just hit me like things will evolve, because I do enjoy seeing Tanner in a relationship, and I do enjoy someone else getting to see what a great person he is.
And I love that you said that. I also want to mention what you said there about Tegan as your buddy. I think you've got your buddy. It's just a different version of that buddy.
And like I said, but again, Tegan and I were probably having those conversations, maybe not for an hour and a half, but back then too. Her independence has gotten just...
I love it.
So much higher and greater than it was back then. She was always an independent person, but, putting herself on a plane today and going and navigating that and
Yeah, planning a vacation.
So,
She planned a
yeah.
vacation without us.
Yeah. So, yes, I do enjoy, and we get to enjoy their presence even when they are traveling. You know, Tanner was texting us pictures and videos when he was in Vegas at his thing. She's already said, I'm going to send y'all pictures
Yeah.
and things. So, you know, and it's nice that we have this week now for ourselves.
What? No, that is, I certainly am glad to that. I do like, I was thinking about these 10 tips in the context that's something that Jim Johnson always said that, and he was talking about raising your kids up to age 18, that you have
That's
two.
our pastor at our church.
Thank you. Yes. He was talking about this up to age 18, and it was your two primary roles are to keep them alive and maintain a relationship with them. Well, obviously, your responsibility in that category changes, but these 10 tips are part of that too. That summers can bring you closer together with your kids that have returned back into your previously empty nest, or it can really impair that relationship. And while we're having fun with this, these 10 tips are so important to maintaining that relationship so that when they are no longer emerging adults, but actual adults, that you have that connectivity with them and that relationship and can continue all the things that I know you and I hope that we do have with our kids as they continue on. And summer is a pretty important proving and testing ground for a lot of that.
And we made it through with one because he's out on his own
Yeah.
now. So hopefully we will continue to make it through with Tegan, which
Second
has so
summer,
far has
yeah.
been fine.
Yeah.
So if you do want these 10 tips that you can look at and implement if you would like to, please visit us at The Loud Quiet Empty Nest Living. If you scroll down, they're on there, and also the link for our newsletter is on there. And with the newsletter, you will get these 10 tips sent to you. So we'd love to have you join, click, and subscribe. Thanks for joining us on another episode of The Loud Quiet.